Okay, so this is my dirty little secret in my shrimp room. This is the 40 breeder. I posted a video about 8 or 9 months ago about the with the guppy tank, with that I donated. So this is the replacement, the 40 breeder that I've been dreaming of desiring to turn into a Caradina tank. I did turn it into a Caradina tank. Right now I have the calls from the red fancy tigers. There's a buried blue bolt in there. Eggs should be dropping soon. I'm curious to see what those babies are gonna look like. Blue bolt and red fancy tiger breeding. Anyhow, the problem I'm having with this tank, you can see, is this string allergy. It's always been a problem. I've been trying to trying to get control of it for months, and I can't. I lowered the light. I have the light very low right now. I have it running for 6 hours per day. And I know the reason why is probably because there's not enough plants in here. So you have all this water volume. You have all this, even from the substrate, all the nutrients from the substrate, all this water volume, and not enough plants to absorb these nutrients. Everything else in the tank is fine. The pH is actually lower in this tank than all the other tanks. Maybe it's because of the volume of substrate. But yeah, I don't want to put any plants in the soil. I don't want any stem plants, any planted plants. So the only plants I would have in here is the subwassa tang and some java moss. Maybe I can add some bucephalantria or some java fern. No, I would put anubias in there. I would put any java fern in because those I think you have to plant. Maybe I just need to increase the plants in this tank, but I think that's probably the only way to get a hold of this algae because all the nutrients in the substrate and not enough plants to absorb these nutrients is always going to be a problem. It doesn't look terrible. It looks kind of spooky. It looks, it looks natural because if you were to go to any lake or pond and put a GoPro in it where these shrimp live, it's going to look just like this. But for in the middle of your dining room slash fish room or shrimp room, yeah, it's not very appealing. But I'll get a hold of it somehow. I honestly, I don't think there is a way to because I don't want to, fill this tank up with a bunch of plants, especially things planted in the substrate because you know what? That's not even a terrible idea because I'm always going to go with the under gravel box filter method when the pH buffering stops. So in the past, I've never done that because I don't want to disturb the substrate to remove the plants and reset the tank. But I'm not going to reset these tanks. All of the tanks that I have in here, I'm just going to use a under gravel box filter and just replace it when the pH stop buffering. So you know what? Let me revisit that. I'm going to add some. I have plenty of plants in my Neocaridina tank. I have a lot of Val, a lot of Dwarf Sage. I can put those in. Those will really thrive in this tank, and that should help control the algae, the nutrients. I don't know why I didn't think about that before. I guess I've been overlooking this tank because it's like, ugh, and it's right between my son and my daughter's computer. So, I mean, it doesn't bother them. They hardly even pay attention to my tanks. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get some plants. Um, May have to order some offline, but I do have plenty in this Neocaridina tank. So, and actually, I've been meaning to break down that tank because it's just overrun. It's like a jungle right now with about 10 or 15 different type of plants. So I'll just slowly start to pluck those plants out and then put them in this tank. The dwarf sage will propagate super fast. In the past, I've always been opposed of doing that because, again, it disturbs the substrate. So the initial like planting, I guess I have to do it very slow. I'll do like one plant a day because if I do a bunch at once, then it's going to really disturb the substrate and cause a problem for the shrimp. But yeah, I guess that's the best route to go. The more plants, because in the Neocaridina tank that's filled with plants, and that's a 20 long, about half the size of this tank, there is some algae, but nothing like this. And all the other tanks, They don't really. Well, I don't have the water volume like this tank or the substrate like this tank that's producing all this nutrient. So that's just a hunch. I might be wrong, but it's worth a shot. And yeah, so I'm just gonna put a bunch of not stem plants. I don't think I have any stem plants. Um, I'm just gonna start with some dwarf sage or some val and see how it goes. Probably some giant hair grass or some dwarf hair grass. I love those. And just start with those, see if that can help with this problem. But that's the hunch that I have for now. Let's see how it turns out.